You want to become a freelancer. You want the freedom to travel the world or spend more time with your family. You want a better work-life balance. You want to do work that you find meaningful. The only problem? You're terrified. Buddy, I've got you. I was also completely terrified as a new freelancer. I did not come out of the womb a freelancer. I had to make this transition also. That fear is one of the biggest reasons why I failed, not once, but 2 times. 2 times or 3 times? At least twice, maybe even 3 times. I failed multiple times to get my freelancing business off the ground before it actually worked out. And now I'm in the beginning stages of a career change to being a musician and a music producer, and I'm fucking terrified. So that's why we're doing this video today. This is really present for me, and based on a lot of the comments I've received, DMs, working with coaching students, this is also present for all of you. So in this video, I will be addressing the most common freelancing fears that I see and how to deal with them. Make sure you stay tuned till the end because I'm going to give you my best tips for mitigating fear when you are navigating a big change. Okay, let's go. So a couple months ago, because I'm behind on everything in my life, of course, I did a poll on Instagram where I asked, what are your biggest freelancing fears? And I got a lot of different answers. So I compiled what I saw were the most common themes. I'll be addressing those fears by sharing my own experiences and also those I've heard from the hundreds of students I've worked with. So number 1, not being able to support myself financially or any kind of fears of finances. Listen to me. Are you listening? This is what I want to tell you. You can support yourself financially. You can definitely do it. If I can start my freelancing business with like a raging drinking problem, then you can definitely start one too. There's a formula for getting out of this one, and it is education plus quality of work plus financials plus sales plus expansion equals not being so afraid that you won't be able to support yourself financially. So here's what I mean by each of those. Education. Educate yourself by reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos like this one, taking online courses, investing in coaching. Just do whatever you can to learn about running a business, doing your skill, and about your niche. Those are all things that you need to learn about. Quality of work, that is practicing your skill over and over again. So you will be practicing your skill in order to create your freelancing portfolio, but you will also be practicing when you're working with clients and just doing things over and over and over again until you get better at them. I was not very good at writing when I started being a freelance copywriter, I'll tell you that. Next is financials, which is partially having an FU fund, which is just a savings account, and realistic but sustainable pricing. There's also sales. Just upgrading your selling skills and learning how to attract and convert potential clients. A really big piece of the puzzle is expansion. If you've heard of To Be Magnetic, aka TBM, that's like one of the big parts of their manifestation process. I do TBM. If you want to be a freelancer, you need to familiarize yourself with other freelancers' success stories so that you will believe that it is possible that it can happen for you. Check out the freelancer spotlights on my blog. Those are people who are just like you, who started their own freelancing business, and they talk about how they did it. Also, one person said the fact that it isn't a steady income, and I did just want to like bring that one comment out from all the other ones about the financial side. If you have several recurring clients, freelancing is a more steady income than having a traditional job, because if you lose one of those clients, you still have your other clients. Whereas if you lose your job, you lose all of your income. So food for thought. I'm sure you've heard that before, but it is true. Number 2 is rejection. You really have to put yourself out there to be a freelancer, which means that you are exposing yourself to the potential of rejection a lot. It's part of it. I had to say something to you. I had to tell you a secret. Listen, rejection is not a real fear. It's what you are afraid rejection says about you that is your real fear. It's true though, like rejection is just a thing that happens and it's neither good nor bad. It just is. You are tying a value to rejection by giving it a story, making it say something about you personally. So you need to ask yourself, what is the real fear that is hiding underneath rejection. For example, I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm not good enough. Those are just some examples of like my fears. Where does that fear come from? Like, what memory is associated with that fear? Where did you get that? Journal it out. Meditate on it. Talk to a therapist. Talk to a trusted friend. Join me in doing TBM and working on your shadow. I do have a affiliate link that gives you 15% off, which I'll link below if you're interested. Once you work out that fear, you kind of realize rejection doesn't matter because it doesn't hurt you. That old cliche that rejection is redirection is true. It literally does not matter if you get rejected because that opportunity was not meant for you. And it's fine. It doesn't say anything about you and your value as a human. Number 3 is disappointing clients. Most likely, as a new freelancer, you will disappoint your clients because you can read all the books you want, you can listen to all the podcasts you want, but until you are really doing it, it's going to be hard to know what to do. Like, you just have to learn by doing. And you are going to disappoint clients. They're not going to be happy with you, especially at first. Not in all cases. Some might be completely happy with you, but it's going to happen occasionally. I certainly did. I definitely did. Like I said before, my first blog posts that I was submitting to clients as a freelancer are so embarrassing. I had no idea what I was doing. None. I just was doing it because I kind of was like, I can't do anything else at this point. I have to become a freelancer or I'm going to die. But anyways, it's your job to figure out what went wrong and fix it and then learn from it for next time. Maybe you won't get to keep this client and that's okay. Find out what went wrong and figure out how you can improve your process so that it doesn't happen again. For example, when I was like maybe 2 years into freelancing, I was fired by a client because I kept submitting work with typos in it. So after that, I had a proofreader for a while and then I ended up getting Grammarly Premium and now I use that. I was fired by a client that I was working with for years because he sent me a 5-minute YouTube video that was in German and didn't understand why I couldn't make a compelling 500-word blog post about it and like could not be reasoned with. This happens. It happens to everybody. Sometimes they don't give you an answer. They just ghost you. I've been ghosted by clients dozens of times. It happens. It's normal and it says more about them than it says about you. But when you can, try to get some feedback and see where you can improve your business. I was gonna sit there. Oh, do you mind if I sit with you? Number 4, Peach. Number 4 is failure. I've said this in other videos. I did not come up with this, but it bears repeating. You only fail when you give up. So just don't give up. Maybe if you were an Aries, that's like possible, but let me tell you this. Making big changes in your life, especially in your career, which is connected to money, it brings up a lot of triggers. A lot of shit from our childhood comes up when we start doing stuff like this. You might feel like giving up before you're actually ready to give up. And let me explain. You might start to feel like, oh, my intuition is telling me to give up, or like you have like an inner knowing about it. So this is one thing I've talked to my therapist a lot about. I'm like, how do I know if I really want to quit something? Or if it is just fear. Her recommendation is that you kind of have to decide like what comes first. Is it the feeling comes first and then the thought I should quit, like the feeling of fear and then I should quit? Or is it the feeling of I should quit and then the fear comes up? Because if you are feeling fear first and then decide that you should quit, that is just your fear talking. It's not really like what you want to do. Another way to work on this is to just get better at tuning in with your gut feelings. So what I want you to do is put your hands on your stomach and then ask yourself a yes or no question that is true. I would be like, is your name Colleen? And just like feel inside of you how that feels and keep repeating that and try it with yes and no questions, like where the answer is yes or no. So you can feel the difference between a yes or no inside of you. And then you can ask yourself, do I want to quit? And that's another way that you can tune into your intuition more. But also like, you're allowed to quit. You're allowed to give up. You are. There's no shame in it. If you're like, you know what? I tried this. It's not for me. That's fine. Sometimes the only real way to know if something is for you or not for you is to just try it. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. I'd venture to say that freelancing it's not right for most people. If it were right for more people would do it. And you can also come back to it later if you decide like now is not the time. That's also fine. Peaches, I need this paper. Like rejection, failure doesn't mean anything about you. Peaches still loves you. She still loves you, even if you quote unquote fail. It doesn't mean anything. It's the value that you assign to it. It's just something that happens. And I'm sure that you can think of a lot of times in your life when something didn't work out, or you failed at something, or you quit, or you were fired, or you were dumped, and then something even greater was able to happen to you because of that dumping or rejection or failure. So the question is, what is the story that you are telling yourself about failing? What would that mean about you if you did fail? The last thing to do is just write down the absolute worst case scenario. What's the worst that could happen? And then what would you do if that did happen? I did this when I made freelancing happen on the third try. I wrote down the worst thing that can happen is that I'll run out of money and I'll have to move in with my parents in Ohio. And that's exactly what happened. But you know what? First of all, I'm really grateful that I was able to move in with my parents. Second of all, once you write down the worst fear, it's like, oh, well, that's not that bad. And you can also make safeguards against it. And then the fifth most common fear that I saw was, of course, AI. This is currently my biggest fear about freelancing. And I was feeling a lot of anxiety about this, probably November or December last year. But eventually I kind of realized we don't know the future. We never have. And if this is the last year, the last 5 years, the last decade that I will be able to be a freelancer before AI steals my job, then I'm going to spend it enjoying it versus worrying. Just take it day by day. I make quarterly goals. I set up strategies for myself. I never stick to them. Stuff happens and your priorities change, and that's normal. Also, education can help to alleviate the fear of AI more too. Learn more about AI, learn about how you can use it in your business. That might also make you feel a little bit better. And also if you try it and see how shitty the content is, then you might also feel a little bit better. Now let's talk about how to mitigate fear. One is just grounding. This has been one of the hardest lessons for me to learn as a self-employed person. You have to take time for self-care, every day. Don't get so caught up trying to get your business off the ground that you never take any time for yourself. Get outside, take a bath, hang out with some friends, take a yoga class, go on a hike. Do activities that soothe you and get that crazy stressed out feeling out of your system. That's been one of the hardest things for me. Is I used to always feel crazy and stressed out. I was like that for years and then I got sick. So probably don't do that and take more time for yourself to relax and chill. If you don't have activities like that you know are going to soothe you, find some. Try different things, make a little list in your phone, and then when you start to feel stressed out and tense, press pause on your work and go do them, because health is wealth and you do not want to stress yourself out so much that you get sick. Trust me. From 2020 to 2022, I was like a nervous wreck about work because I bought a house at the beginning of 2020. I got the keys in March 2020. So right before the pandemic, and this was before the Freelance Writer's Guide existed. I was just a copywriter at this point. I was in a panic, what is going to happen to my job? There's this global pandemic. I have a mortgage now. And luckily my work really wasn't affected, but my house was falling apart and I had $30,000 worth of emergency repairs to do right away. And to get a new roof and a new sewer line. My house is 100 years old. Anyway, so I started the Freelance Writer's Guide. I was in a panic trying to do these 2 jobs for 2 years. And the more success I had with the Freelance Writer's Guide, the first time it went viral on TikTok, I was so anxious, just working all the time. The businesses were successful, but I was just feeling physically ill and getting worse by the day. And then last fall, the wheels really came off. I was seriously like only working. I quit music, quit talking to pretty much all my friends and my family, and was barely traveling anywhere. Gave up on all the things in my life that give me joy because I just did not have energy for them. Yeah, I feel a lot better now. Take care of yourself because you do not want to get sick from overworking yourself. Next is to have an FU fund. Before you make the transition to full-time freelancing, you need to save like at least 3 months of living expenses. 6 months would be better. This will help relieve some of the pressure that's on you to make this happen because there's a lot of factors that are outside of your control. I also recommend freelancing on the side of your regular job until you've built up an FU fund and you've built up some clients. You could get a part-time job and freelance on the side of that, like as a bridge job. You don't want to just quit your job and be like, okay, I'm a freelancer now with no money or no plan. I did that once, and don't do that because you'll end up having to borrow $500 from your friend because your purse got stolen at the Santa Monica Pier and you cannot even afford to get someone to make another key for your car. That was a dark time for me. Also, find community. Find other people that you can talk to about this because freelancing is very lonely. Don't just like complain about it in a Facebook group. That doesn't help. You need to like set up a call with people. Like if you see other people in the Facebook group and you're like, yeah, this person seems cool, message them. Set up a Zoom call with them. Freelancers Union, they have different chapters in different cities and they have events. Go to those. Or if there's other like types of networking events for creatives in your city, go. Meet other people. I cannot tell you like how wonderful it is to talk about your freelance business problems with another person, even if they're just online. Also, if you are in the Freelance Writer's Guide to the Galaxy, we have a monthly office hours where everybody just signs in and it's a chance to meet other people that are freelancers and have a little chat. And I'm there too, so we can talk about freelancing. And finally, just do it. Just make a little action plan and do it. And understand that you are probably not gonna choose the right steps and you're not gonna know everything, and the only way to know stuff is to go do it. The end. Doesn't say anything bad about you if you fail. You won't fail unless you give up. You're also allowed to give up if you want, if it's the right choice for you. I believe in you. I know you can do it. I can't even reiterate to you what a piece of shit I was when I started this business. I was a wreck. I was like getting up every weekend on alcohol and drugs, and well, I did end up quitting alcohol and drugs for a little bit and being like, oh, my life is all up. And that's when I moved in with my parents, and then I had no friends and just sat in my parents' basement and worked on freelancing stuff. You can do it too. I am not special. I mean, I am special, but you know what I mean. I'm not better than you. We are all the same. That's the end of this video. Sorry, I kind of didn't move around at all at the end of it. I just got sick of it. If you liked it, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I have coaching programs, courses, digital projects, and more. All that stuff is linked below. If you have questions, comments, suggestions, leave them below. That's all. Okay, bye. Watch for deer. I just stepped in a massive dog turd. Gross. Ugh.